Hi, my name's Tasha Miner. I founded Hounds in Harmony Dog Training, and I wanted to make a series of videos to answer the questions that I typically get from prospective clients, as well as some requests from friends and colleagues who deal with dog training on a regular basis. And the first one was, what are the requirements to become a dog trainer, and what are my qualifications as a dog trainer? And unfortunately, in my opinion, dog training is not a very regulated industry. There are no legal requirements for certifications or degrees or anything like that to become a dog trainer. Literally anyone can make up some business cards and start selling themselves as a dog trainer on a professional level. So my qualifications are I'm a professional member of the Pet Professionals Guild, which is dedicated to force-free methods of dog training. And I am a certified trick dog instructor, and I'm working towards becoming a certified dog trainer through the Pet Professional Guild as well. It took me a while to decide on which organization to go with, and I decided on the Pet Professional Guild because I feel like that best represents what I feel a dog trainer should be capable of. So I'm looking forward to finishing that, which takes about 6 months. So in about January of next year, we'll see if I did it or not. And the next question that a lot of people ask is, what kind of trainer are you? And there's basically 3 different camps. There's the positive camp, the punishment camp, and the balanced camp, which is kind of in the middle. The positive camp avoids punishment as much as possible. In my opinion, it's actually impossible to do, but we avoid things that would be considered abusive or hurtful to the dog. The punishment camp is somewhat based on the old-fashioned dominance theory and is totally fine with correcting the dog for making the wrong decision. And the balanced people typically sell themselves as the best of both worlds, where they will reward the dog for making the right decision, and they will also punish the dog for making the wrong decision and having both a yes and a no. So my experience being a positive trainer includes training my own dog through trial and error when I was a kid. I started around when I was 10, just playing around with teaching my wire hair fox terrier to do the basics: sit, come, heel, shake. And I learned through trial and error, and I did not have any formal training at all. So it took a while, but she did learn. Mostly I used physical manipulation and praise. So it's not the most effective method, and I've learned much better ways since then. Once I did start learning about positive training, I started volunteering for a greyhound rescue in Michigan, and I continued doing that a little bit in California when I moved here in 2010. And then I started being a dog walker part-time to make some extra income, and everybody was really pleased with how much improvement they saw in their dog's walking behavior. So I started getting a little bit more into training on a professional level and actually earning money doing it over time. And I started a group called Irvine Dog Owners Group for Socialization, aka iDogs, in January of 2012. So it's been going for a little over 5 years when I made this video, and it is geared towards dealing with dogs who have a lot of issues. Maybe they're fearful, reactive, aggressive, and so I think we were up to 565 members. And I haven't seen them all, so I'm not going to take credit for seeing 565 dogs, but I've seen a lot of them. And so I've seen the gamut of behavior issues, and I've dealt with it in a group setting. So I feel really fortunate to have that pool for teaching me how to train dogs with issues better, because a lot of people come to me for aggression behaviors. So the way that anybody trains dogs, whether they're in the positive camp, the balanced camp, or the punishment camp, includes the 4 quadrants of learning. And you'll hear this spouted either as a proponent of the positive camp or a proponent of the punishment camp. And so I just wanted to clarify in a really easy way what exactly the 4 quadrants is all about in learning theory. And every animal learns this way, from bees to whales to people to dogs. So either you have something that is positive, which does not mean a good experience. It strictly means that something is being added. So you can add a treat, you can add pain, you can add nothing particularly interesting, you can add all sorts of things. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a good thing. And then obviously the opposite would be negative. You can remove something. It's not about it being a bad experience. It's about taking something away. You can take away a reward, or you can take away a punishment or something scary and affect behavior that way. So either something is reinforcing, meaning you want the behavior to continue, you want to encourage that behavior, or it is punishing and you want that behavior to stop. So even as a positive trainer, I do incorporate some amount of punishment, but the important thing to keep in mind is the humane hierarchy. So now we move into the ideal, least invasive method would be positive reinforcement. So we add something to make a behavior continue. And this is when we reward the dog for making the right choice. This is the least hurtful to the dog, either emotionally or physically. And it's the go-to as much as possible that all positive trainers use. The next best thing, I suppose you could say, is negative reinforcement, which is where you take away something to make a behavior continue. So then would be negative punishment, where you take away something to make a behavior stop, and then positive punishment, where you add something to make a behavior stop. So that's where you get into the corrections. I feel like when we're doing positive reinforcement, and let's say I'm teaching a dog their name, you would say the dog's name, and then the dog would look at you, and then you would give the dog a treat. So that's a very straightforward, easy exercise. It's usually the one that I start with most of my clients, even if they've already had some background in training their dog. I like to make sure that we're all on the same page with this exercise, because it's really easy for the dog to be successful, and it's really simple for the owner to get all the mechanics underway. When the dog hears their name and doesn't respond, which happens all the time, if the dog is distracted, if they hear a sound, if they see a squirrel, they're distracted. They won't respond to their name, and that's totally fine. But what we do is we don't give the dog a reward. So that is a form of punishment, technically speaking. We are not rewarding the lack of response by withholding a treat. So we are effectively adding nothing to make a behavior stop, which is not paying attention to the fact that I said your name and I wanted your attention. So some people would call that negative reinforcement, taking away the reinforcement, but I feel like it was never there to start with. I present it after the behavior, so you can't take away something that the dog doesn't know they have. So again, everybody's going to argue about how that goes exactly. I think this is just a really easy way to break down the mechanics of yes and no from a purely positive perspective. And then we get into what's a reinforcement, meaning what do we do to encourage a behavior to continue, and then what's a reward. And this is really important as well. And one of the first exercises I give new clients, People don't realize that their dogs may or may not like the things that the owner is doing. I can't tell you how many times I observe and cringe a little bit when owners will be rubbing their dog like crazy, and they're obviously enjoying themselves and they obviously love their dog so much, but the dog is like this and trying to get away and clearly not enjoying that interaction at all, and it's strictly gratifying for the human part of that equation. So I feel like, especially focusing on service dog work, I'm also a relationship-based trainer. I'm very into making sure that you understand what drives your dog and that you are able to give them those things. So the reinforcements have to be according to your dog's desires, not yours. And so that can be in the form of praise, which is usually very low on the totem pole of rewards. You can praise with petting, and you can praise with your voice. And some dogs work okay for that, for behaviors that they know very well, but very few dogs will perform new behaviors for that alone on a reliable basis. So you have to up the ante. The next tool in the toolbox would be something like play, either fetch a ball or tug a toy. And a lot of dogs do really well with that, especially the herding breeds and the working breeds. Some dogs have no interest in that at all, and that's totally fine. Then the next level of reinforcement would be food. And a lot of people get the like the milk bone biscuits and then tell me that their dog isn't food motivated. I always tell them, actually, your dog is very intelligent, because biscuits like milk bone are actually both not very nutritious, nor very tasty, nor very healthy. So when you're treating your dog and you want to use food, you have to get the good stuff. Dogs primarily like meaty-based foods, and they like things that are moist, and they like things that are stinky. So go from a cracker, which is the biscuits, to a steak, which is meatballs or hot dogs or baby food or jerky type treats that are very high in meat content, and see the type of difference that you can get in your dog's attentiveness to work. I guarantee you it's going to be a big difference. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.